This wenture thick with buttocks broad, I will not lie. Okay, so as an audience of scientists and science communicators, I'm guessing there aren't too many of you who are fans of medieval literature here. Maybe this one will be a bit more familiar to you. I like big butts and I cannot lie. When we look at these two sources, they're essentially saying the same thing, but do we understand them both equally? Even though we have access to both of them, are they both equally accessible to us? Hi, my name's Cobby Rose. I'm an astrophysicist, and today I'm going to be talking to you about accessible science communication. See, traditionally people have tended to talk to the idea of access, having access to information, the same way that they speak about access to resources like food and clean drinking water. The thing is, we live in a world where more than 60% of the planet has access to the entirety of human knowledge, but we tend to spend most of our time actually searching for entertainment, social media, or apparently just Googling Google. The problem is that access and accessibility are not the same thing. I mean, if I had just given you access to that little snippet, that little piece of Middle English without explanation, it's not likely that you would have been able to understand it as quickly as you did, given the comparison to the more modern version. I mean, even the meme that I use in my introduction slide, it has layers of cultural depth, which aren't necessarily accessible to everyone who comes across it, say if you're not familiar with Princess Bride or not particularly well-versed in meme culture. In schools and universities around the world, teachers are beginning to realize that the old approach towards education isn't suited to the exponentially growing knowledge base of the rapidly evolving world that we live in. Rather than having to memorize an endless flood of facts and formulae, students need to be taught core skills like teamwork, critical thinking, and adaptive problem solving. So when it comes to science outreach, similarly, the only communicators who are truly effective are the ones who are developing modern solutions. This is why last year, to kick off the events of Israel Space Week, I organized a conference designed to showcase some of the unique ways that people are communicating science. The conference was named in honor of Israeli astronaut Ilan Ramon, who died in the Columbia Space Shuttle tragedy, and his late wife, Rona Ramon, who founded the educational nonprofit, the Ramon Foundation, in his memory. To fill the program, I enlisted the help of dozens of incredible human beings, ranging from astrophysicists and astronauts to space artists and social media influencers. This outstanding group of speakers and panelists graciously volunteered to take part in this online conference, which was live streamed across multiple platforms and pages. During the event, we had several panels, including one on kickstarting STEAM initiatives, noting the importance of art in communicating STEM. Another panel had science communicators share their experience using different media to inspire the next generation of scientists. And a third panel, which I moderated, brought together a group of astrophysicists to discuss how to make astronomy accessible to a diverse audience, to kind of bring it down from the ivory towers of academia. There were also keynote talks about the role of science communication in society, the importance of SciComm at NASA, and even the impact of doing outreach from space. But we also got to spotlight the outstanding work being done communicating science on TikTok, inspiring people with deep space art, and providing telescopes and educational resources to underprivileged communities like the Passage Project is. What was amazing to me as an organizer was to see how passionately all of these brilliant people spoke about the work that they do. In fact, one highlight of the event was a video compilation of different science communicators talking about why science communication is so important to them. Now, these speakers came from nearly a dozen different countries and a diverse range of cultural backgrounds. This meant that they all had a unique way of communicating science to their online communities, which cumulatively totaled over 1 million followers across social media. But as I said earlier, the numbers don't matter. The thing that defines the accessibility of science, it's not the number of people who can access it. It's about making science-related posts in your native language so that people aren't limited by their place of birth, like Diana Al-Sindi. It's about creating visually impactful content that inspires people, regardless of their level of formal education, like Catherine Machen does with her deep space art. And communicating science isn't just about the literal language, but it's about using language and terminology that's clear and understandable to your target audience, like using words like yeet to describe the transfer of angular to linear momentum, or megaboop to reference the kinetic asteroid redirect test. I mean, speaking a similar language about the composition of stars, or even speaking obscenely about the violent explosion of a massive star at the end of its life as a supernova, these things might seem like absurd, non-scientific terms, but they convey a descriptive and memorable message to younger audiences, making it more accessible to them. More than anything else, science communication and making it accessible is about sharing stories of personal hardship throughout your education and career, and about letting other people know that the struggle is real and that it's okay if things don't always go smoothly. And because science is hard, the most important thing that we can do for the next generation of scientists is just to be honest with them about that fact. I feel incredibly privileged to have been able to bring so many inspiring science communicators together for this remote event last year, despite the hardships that we've all faced over the past few years. And knowing that we managed to do this with no budget based solely on the goodwill and generosity of some truly stellar people continues to renew my faith in humanity. In fact, sometimes I stop and think about what we might have been able to achieve if I had actually charged tickets for the conference. I could have provided even more for the attendees, as well as fairly compensating the speakers who put hours of work into preparing and presenting. Most of you are probably familiar with the idea that we, as critical thinkers with inquisitive minds, are part of the universe, or a part of the universe that strives to better itself, to better understand itself. This is true irrespective of a person's birthplace, gender identity, ethnicity, or ideological creed. And so it's critically important that we as communicators make science truly accessible to everyone. Thank you.